All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my good friend, Katie Klabusich. Katie is a writer, a reproductive justice activist. She is a contributor to the Hal Sparks radio program and Dangerous Conversation, all of which and more you can find at katiespeak.com. You can also follow her on Twitter at Katie_speak. Katie, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me back, Matt.
All right, so Katie, let's start out with a really exciting event that's coming up that you're involved with. It's an upcoming telethon that's called Clear Eyes, Full Hearts Can Choose, an online telethon to support Texas women. Katie, tell us all about it.
So Texas is in immediate crisis right now. 248 of the 256 counties in the state do not have an abortion provider. That is a lot of counties without an abortion provider. And the amazing comedian, writer, and abortion activist extraordinaire Lizz Winstead joined up with Sarah Silverman and decided that that was not acceptable, that we needed to pool our resources and get as much help as possible to the women of Texas. And we're throwing together this online telethon that people can watch. There'll be a link up later this week, and we're bringing in just amazing performers and people for the news junkies in the audience. We'll have speakers and writers and comedians and musicians. It's just going to be amazing.
I'm looking at the lineup. I mean, right there, right off the bat, you have Lizz Winstead, who's great. Right off the bat, you have Sarah Silverman, who's also great. I mean, that's enough reason to watch, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Talk about some of the people who are doing this, because the lineup is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
Who else is actually going to be there?
Well, because I'm an 80s and 90s kid, like, I'm extremely excited about King Ed Rock, because we've got a Beastie Boy. Like, that just makes me happy. But we've got Emily Mortimer from The Newsroom, and Natasha Lyonne from Orange is the New Black, Kathy and Jimmy. Who else is in the lineup? We've got Phoebe Robinson and Dino Badala, John Fugelsang, Sarita McFadden, Phoebe Robinson. So there will be some newer comedians and writers that maybe people haven't seen before, and some bigger names, but everyone is amazing.
Yeah. So tell us where is this money going to go for this telethon? It's a telethon that, again, it's on Monday, November the 18th. It's from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern time. Tell us where exactly, who's going to get the money that this fundraiser actually raises money for.
So the fundraiser is sponsored by NIAF, the New York Abortion Access Fund, and NARAL. So they're kind of spearheading the collection and the ticketing and how all of that's going to work. And then the money is going to go to 4 amazing Texas organizations, and that's really important. The activists that are on the ground in Texas are phenomenal. In fact, we're going to have 2 of them here. Jessica Luther, who was all over the logistics. If anybody was watching during the Wendy Davis filibuster, if you were sending pizzas and things to the Capitol, you were very likely getting your information from Jessica. And Sarah Slayman, whose video went viral when the Texas legislature did not like what she was saying when she testified, and they dragged her out. So they're going to be there and on stage. So Texas has the on-the-ground activism and organization handled. They are amazing. What they need is more money, which is what we're helping with. And so we're giving all of the funds to the organizations in Texas that help with transportation costs and childcare for women who are seeking abortion, and women who can't afford to pay for their abortion because of the Hyde Amendment and the way funding works in this country for healthcare. So the 4 organizations are the Lilith Fund for Reproductive Equity, Whole Women's Texas Action Fund, which is the fund that's associated with Whole Women's Health, an amazing set of women's clinics in Texas, Fund Texas Women, and the Texas Equal Access Fund, also known as T-Fund.
Nice. Again, I'm talking to my friend Katie Klabusich, katiespeak.com. So let's delve into, I think most listeners to the show are kind of aware of the overall war on women that's going on, mostly in red states around the country. But Texas is one of those states that's particularly egregious. If people aren't familiar with what's actually happened recently when it comes to the war on women in Texas, let people know what exactly, talk about the laws that have been passed. There was a recent court challenge that struck down one certain aspect of the bill but left other parts of the bill in place. Describe what exactly is going on in Texas and why so much help is actually needed down there.
Sure. So the Wendy Davis filibuster was just the first special session that was called by Governor Perry in Texas. There were additional special sessions called, and eventually House Bill 2 was passed. It's one of those omnibus trap laws. Everything that you talk about on this program, you've had, Rob and Marty and other people on talking about the different kinds of trap laws that are passed. It's pretty much all jam-packed in there. And at the end of October, so the courts struck down the admitting privileges provision, which is something, again, you talk about a lot on the show. Where abortion providers have to have admitting privileges at a hospital within a certain radius of the clinic, the place where the procedures are performed. And that's just not necessary. I mean, it's designed to shut down clinics. Only 0.04% of abortion procedures have complications that require any kind of hospitalization. And emergency rooms are required to take women. So it's really just designed for that. So that provision was struck down. And then the really, really horrible and running for governor, Attorney General Greg Abbott in Texas, sued to lift the stay on that provision. And that's what went through on Halloween, on the 31st, is that the stay was lifted and the admitting privileges clause went into effect immediately, which means on October 31st, staff from places like Whole Women's Health spent all night calling women who had appointments scheduled for the next morning to tell them not to come. And what's happened now with a number of counties that don't have providers, there are reports that women are driving up to 600 miles just to have a legal procedure.
Wow. Again, like what was really frightening is just like you said, once this actually went through, how many reports of all these clinics saying, well, we can't do this anymore. This is affecting, we don't know how many lives this is actually affecting. Again, for a perfectly legal medical procedure that is legal, again, 100% legal, but this ridiculous statute has gone through, and again, hundreds of miles people have to travel to do something that's 100% legal. It's really, really sick.
And the Whole Women's Health and other Center for Reproductive Rights and Planned Parenthood have filed basically, they went to the Supreme Court and said, emergency, we need to be heard. We need to reinstate the stay. But if anybody knows anything about the Fifth Circuit Court, which is the court that's in charge of this, that appeal goes to Justice Antonin Scalia. So that could go any which way. But the reason this is being pushed in places like Texas is really strategic. If the stay isn't reimposed and the Fifth Circuit essentially keeps their stamp of approval on this provision, in states and circuit courts like Wisconsin and Alabama, where the admitting privileges law has been struck down and ruled unconstitutional, what happens is you have one circuit court that has said nope and one circuit court that says yep, and that's the sort of thing that eventually sends it to the full Supreme Court, which is the whole goal. That's the whole goal of the anti-choice movement, is to strategically push laws that they think they can get to the Supreme Court in order to overturn Roe. So if you live in a quote-unquote safe blue state where you think your rights are protected, don't think what's happening in Texas isn't about you, because they're coming for your rights too.
Absolutely. And again, so we have all of these truly amazing activists and just normal women down in Texas and their allies, obviously, fighting this and doing everything they can to not only support the Congress people who are trying to fight this, like Wendy Davis, but also just the people who are doing things to try to keep these clinics open, who are doing things to actually, if a clinic gets shut down, getting them to another clinic to actually do getting them hundreds of miles to the next clinic or whatnot. And so that brings us back to this telethon, which is happening happening Monday, November 18th at 7 p.m., which is the Clear Eyes, Full Hearts Can Choose, which again is what a great title. It's of course, if people aren't familiar, that's a take on the great show Friday Night Lights, which the Clear Eyes, Full Hearts Can't Lose, which is again a really well chosen title, which actually takes place in Texas.
Absolutely. There's going to be live tweeting and all kinds of things going on for the event. So get some people together. The Facebook event page actually has people finding each other based on location. Is anyone having a watch party? So people are already planning to get together, and you can participate in the conversation. We have a Twitter handle. It's Texas Women Forever, TX Women Forever, and we're using the hashtag Texas spelled out, Texas Women Forever. So if people have questions about where to stream, just contact the Twitter feed or on the Facebook page. I'm monitoring both of those, and I'm going to be running a lot of the social media. And the event is going to be amazing. I mean, I'm so excited because like you said, it's a lot about logistics, and the money is largely going to organizations that women in crisis can call, and they will tell them where to go and how to get there and where to get funding and literally walk them through the entire process. The network of abortion funds in this country is amazing and compassionate and will help women from the second they know they need help all the way through to their appointment. It's really amazing the solidarity that's happening. The understanding that Texas is the state that's in immediate crisis, and so we're just rushing to get them the help as fast as we can.